And it's going to end up showing.
And now, in a flurry of court filings, some as recent as this week, the Aisenberg's attorney goes even further, attacking investigators and alleging they ignored crucial evidence they had all along. An unidentified boot print on baby Sabrina's bed ruffle, a mysterious blonde hair found in her crib, a set of unidentified fingerprints on a sliding glass door, and 2 possible break-in attempts shortly before Sabrina disappeared at neighbors' homes, neighbors who also had young babies.
All those lead to the conclusion that perhaps there was a third person.
Neither the Aisenbergs nor their attorneys would comment on the case this week, citing court rules. So we went to George Tragos, a former state and federal prosecutor who is now a defense attorney and who has no connection with the Aisenberg case. He says no one can yet know how this newly disclosed evidence will affect the case, but he does say he believes it has the potential to change things completely.
It can be monumentally important. The fact that you're able to show that there could have been a third party in that room, and as a defense lawyer, you're only trying to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And that reasonable doubt can come from any of the slightest things, like that shoe print, like the hair, any of that.
Like another set of well-known suspect parents, the Aisenbergs contend that faced with a tough case, the police rushed to judgment, a judgment against the people closest at hand. Police and prosecutors declined to speak to us too, but Tragos says that theory might explain why the new evidence was never pursued.
It's very real. Law enforcement is human. You know, they get focused on a particular person or a particular idea. It's very hard to change their mind. You know, they couldn't identify maybe this footprint, so they took the easy way. Let's go after the people we can identify and not worry about the ones we can't identify.
And defense attorneys say prosecutors have one more problem, those tapes, which seemed so incriminating. Tragos, who has first-hand experience with surveillance tapes, says they're often not as useful as prosecutors think. Defense attorneys who've heard the tapes say they're hard to make out and far from conclusive.
I'm sure those tapes are not crystal clear. They're always kind of scratchy. You may not get the entire context of the conversation, but you only may pick up a word here and there. You know, a lot of times you talk speculation, hypotheticals, and you feel like it's safe to sit down and talk to your wife about things like, well, what if this, what if that? Well, somebody, like a prosecutor or law enforcement, may take that what ifs and say, aha, a confession. But a husband and wife drinking a cup of coffee may say, gosh, you know, I talk about, you know, silly stuff like that with my wife all the time. It certainly isn't a confession.
With the interpretation of what Steve and Marlene Aisenberg actually said open to question, and what their defense attorneys say is evidence of someone else in baby Sabrina's room, Tragos says the government's case may not be nearly as strong as many had thought, which could explain why the Aisenbergs were charged with conspiracy and making false statements, instead of with their daughter's murder.
I don't think the Aisenberg case ever looked airtight. The delay in arresting them showed that there was a lot of work being done, that they had to put pieces together. It's like a puzzle. They put it together. They think they had it together.
But one part of the puzzle that the authorities have not been able to put together is exactly what happened to baby Sabrina. At the time of her parents' indictments last fall, this is what the county sheriff thought.
The information in the indictment would indicate that the child is not alive, but they've lied to us in the past. We can't say. We don't know.
But with the new evidence, the Aisenbergs apparently have pieced together their own theory. And with the trial still months away, George Tragos says it's anyone's guess as to what really did happen.
You know, who knows what the truth is out there? That's the problem. We don't know, and we still don't know.
Coming up.